Look at the directions. It says estimate the product and then solve using the standard algorithm. Use the thought bubbles to show your thinking. Draw an area model on a separate sheet if it helps you. We're going to assume that we don't need the area model. Let's take a look at this. Let's round it first. So 1 3/800ths.
1 40.
Okay, now I'm going to drop the decimal. So I'm going to round it to either 1 or 2. 1. Okay. 32 rounds to. So we're going to have about 31s for our answer. Okay. Now this is really cool. It says if you take 1 3/800ths times 100, I'm going to write it a little bigger. Okay. How many times do I have to hop that decimal to get rid of it? Okay. So if I hop it over here, it's going to get rid of the decimal. Is that what you're saying? Good. And then, so I can do that. I can get rid of the decimal and solve the problem. And then how would I end up putting the decimal back in?
Divide.
I would divide. And I would divide by 100. So that's basically what it says in these two thought bubbles. Okay? So starting today, we'll write the problem with the decimal in it. Okay? And then we've got a couple ways we can place the decimal at the end. So let's go ahead and multiply here. You check yours with mine. Okay, did anyone notice that the answer's right here? They already gave us the answer, so I guess we did it right, didn't we? Okay, so 4,416 hundredths is what we're dealing with, okay? But to get that decimal put back in, there's a couple ways you can write it, okay? So the way we practice sometimes is just underline those 2 digits, underline 2 digits, and place your decimal, okay? And that, to me, is the simplest way to do it, especially when you get older and your problems become more complicated. Today, they're saying, take this answer right here and divide it by 100. And so we'll hop it twice and put the decimal back in. So 44 and 16 hundredths. Is 44 kind of close to 30? Yeah. So we'll do the next one the same way, and then when we get to the bottom, we can decide, okay? So let's go ahead and do B. So round it first.
4.
Okay, why do you say 4? Because I underlined a 5 and it's above the midpoint, so 3 becomes a 4. We're dropping off the decimal, okay? 89 rounds to 90. So we have 361s. Good. Okay. So what would I put in my thought bubble here? Jesus.
355 times 100 equals
355. Good. Okay. So I didn't have enough room to write it across like they did because I write too big, so I just put it underneath. All right, so let's do the problem, and then we'll talk about the next thought bubble. Okay, so in this thought bubble, I'm going to take 31,595 and I'm going to divide it by what, boys and girls? 100. And that will help me place the decimal in the correct place, because if I hop it back twice, I'll end up with 315 and 95 hundredths. Does that make sense with our estimate? It does. This just says solve using the standard algorithm. So I'm going to take, and don't write it too close to the words because you're going to regroup, okay? So I'm going to take 5 and 400ths times 8. Now the thing about this is I don't need the turtle head. So 8 times 4, what is it?
32.
So where will you regroup the 3? Above the 0. Okay, and don't forget to do that because problems are going to get more complicated. Now I have 8 times 0.
Which is 0, so just put 3.
So just write the 3. 5 times 8.
40.
Now this is what I see on my answer key. They do it like this. They sometimes go, instead of equals, you know, they go divided by 100. 100 since it's in the hundredths place. Okay? And then they write equals and the answer. Okay? I personally prefer a different method, but I show you all these because of Zern, don't I? This is the method I prefer. Underline twice in my problem, underline twice, place my decimal. You agree?
Yep.
Okay. So I'll have to cut that out of the video, won't I? No, Tegan's gone today, so he'll have a surprise waiting for him. So let's do this one. It looks hard, but it's really not because it's just times 67. Now keep in mind, boys and girls, if you want to use the lined paper, so you can turn the lines vertical and line up your numbers better, you can do that. Whoa, that was a lot of regrouping. Lots of X's, huh? Okay. Does this answer need a comma?
No.
You sure?
Yes.
So if I start counting right after the decimal, 1, 2, 3, does it need a comma?
Yeah.
It does. So some of these longer ones, you're going to have a decimal and a comma in. Okay? This would be, if we were talking money, it would be like $9,904.61. Okay? Right, so how do you feel about this? Fist 5. Okay, so let's go to the next page. We'll solve these the exact same way. 504, though, we need to talk about that. So go ahead and write that problem down. And if I were you, I'd write it, about right here to give yourself room. And then I want to ask a question about that 0 in the bottom number. So get it written down first. Okay, I'm gonna be spending a lot of time editing this, aren't I? Okay. That what you got? How many zeros do I put down now?
2.
Why do you say 2?
Because there's 1 0.
Because there's a 0 in the tens place, so we're working with the hundreds place now. How many zeros on 100?
2.
Okay, very good. So I could draw the bell on the collar, couldn't I? All right. Okay, I think this number's going to need a comma also.
Yep.
So place your decimal, then count backwards 1, 2, 3, comma. Is that what you got? How do you say that number?
42,038 and 64 hundredths.
Very good.
Oh,
Try and talk as fast as Cheney and you won't be able to anyway. Okay? All right. Good job though. So the next one, let's talk about that. Which number should I write on top?
56.
That's what we've been doing, haven't we? We've been putting the decimal on top. This time it doesn't make sense though. Because I need to have my longest number on top. That's easier to multiply. And do I need to write this 0?
No.
Probably not unless I want to multiply zeros all the way across. Do you want to multiply zeros all the way across? Okay, so we'll write it like this. 432 times 56 hundredths. And if you run across a problem like that has a 0 in the ones place, just cross it off or something so you'll know not to multiply it. Okay?
What if you rounded it like the...
Well, we're not rounding anything on this one. So, but if we did round it to the nearest whole number, what would it be?
1.
It would be 1. Very good. Okay, do you agree? This getting easier?
yes.
Quite a bit. Okay, so let's look at the next 3 because you have one of these on your exit ticket. It's not too hard, but it says use the whole number product and place value reasoning to place the decimal point in the second product. Explain how you know. Okay, so this first one is 98 times 768. Those are both whole numbers, aren't they? Okay, and you get an answer that's a whole number. What's the difference between the second problem and the first problem?
The second one is a decimal. Oh, yeah.
The second one has a decimal placed in there, and I didn't underline that very well. But underline those 2 digits, so I get the same answer, don't I?
Yes,
But with different place values. So go ahead and write it without a comma. And then I suggest just underlining and placing your decimal. Now, how do I know I can do that?
You add one and...
Because it says explain how you know.
Because
Oh.
like in end...
Because you took out this one and then added one.
I know,
Oh,
but
there's-
what actually happens mathematically? We talked about it in those thought bubbles.
There,
You...
yeah, I think you have two at the end.
Okay, so
Like, I think, I don't know. I don't know either.
Okay, so what if I did times and divided by 100?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
That's what I was
so 7 and 68 hundredths would be 768 if I did what to it? If I multiply it times 100, right? So can't I just take this answer right here, divide it by 100, and that will give me the answer? Or take this answer. So 75,264 divided by 100 equals 752 and 64 hundredths. Now I had a student write, the second problem has a decimal in the hundredths place, so my answer would have to have a decimal in the hundredths place. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I could write a sentence that says that, and we'll write that on the next one because it's the exact same type of problem, okay? So we have all whole numbers, and we have an answer that's a whole number. The same digits but different place values. What are we showing here? Hundredths, okay? So I could say the second problem and I'm going to say has a decimal showing hundredths place. So the product would need to show hundredths place. That's a lot of writing. Let's see if I skipped any words. Okay. Okay, makes perfect sense, doesn't it? So there's two ways to explain it. One with the problem, which we understand what it means, don't we? And one with a sentence. I forgot to write my answer here. Okay, does this product need a comma?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, comma. All right, let's take a look at C. So it says if 46 times 1,239 equals 56,994, then 46 times 123 and 9/10 equals blank. How's this one different?
It's
It's tenths place, okay? So how about we write a problem? Let's take the answer, 56,994, and divide it by 10. And that would equal 5,699 and 4/10. Okay, does that all make sense, boys and girls?
Yes.
Okay.